I was trying to turn these two hoodies into the Gem and Gemma jackets from Power Rangers RPM, but was struggling to take the Gemma jacket in at the sides, so I decided to shelve these projects and make a dress form. And considering I took up sewing with the intention to make something a person could wear anyway, a dress form is useful to have. I tried to make a cheap dress form out of tape and bin bags, but I couldn't reach my back. So I decided to research further and found this video on a YouTube channel called Dixie DIY. In this video, Dixie was talking about a website called Bootstrap, which can make a dress form sewing pattern for you. The pattern was spread across multiple sheets of A4 paper where I attached the panels together by myself. That's not my cat, by the way. Unfortunately, I did have to go fishing in the bin as I threw out one piece of the panel by accident. As you do. Before any sewing was done, however, I did test the pattern with newspaper. And it worked! Now, the advice I got from watching this tutorial on a channel called Claire Yizwan Zhang, I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, was that the dress form should be made out of a sturdy fabric, so I used canvas. However, this tutorial on a channel called Pocketful of Posies showed how you could add decoration to the dress form in a way that also further strengthened the fabric. Use iron adhesive to stick two sheets of fabric together, and I knew exactly which fabric to use. This curtain I bought impulsively from eBay. Are you really shocked that it's got Power Rangers on it? The curtain was ironed onto the canvas, the sewing pattern was drawn out onto the fabric, and I got to work sewing. Now, there weren't many major issues with this project, it was just long-winded, so here's a list of things that were either easy or minorly wrong. I stitched the center back instead of the center front of the dress form, so the side seam of the neck is in the front instead of the back. The side panels moved slightly when sewing, so the dress is slightly thinner than me. The neck and arm covers were sewn on by hand as I didn't trust myself to do a good job with my sewing machine. This resulted in me drawing blood for the first time since learning to sew back in 2020. My 3-year streak is broken. There's a crease in the surface fabric where I didn't press as well as I thought I had when ironing the two pieces of fabric together. These panels don't line up, and yet, somehow, the distance between the neck and shoulder is correct. How I managed to get the correct length despite them being so off, I genuinely don't know how I managed it, but I'm not going to question it. I accidentally cut off the tips of the shoulders, so I had to piece some extra fabric back on. Making the base was fine. I just sewed two pieces of fabric together that were the same shape and size. But you can see where the presser foot moved around the zipper. Now for the things that were really hard. The center support and the base. In an attempt to save money, I was going to use this cardboard pole, but I made the gap for the pole to go into too small. So I put a slit in the pole, and that was a bad idea. Sewing the base was hard as the center support was compressing the sides of the dress form, so I stitched one side, the other side, the center front, and then the center back. Unfortunately, the base also moved slightly whilst stitching as I didn't bother to put any notches in before sewing. Remember earlier when I said using a cardboard pole for support was a bad idea? Well, here's why. It collapsed under the weight of the scrap fabric I used for stuffing, so I replaced it with a metal bar. The stuffing process was also a problem. After 4 days of cutting up my scrap fabric for stuffing, I had only filled up the dress form to the chest, and my right hand was starting to feel a bit funny from all the cutting. So I gave in, I bought some stuffing, and within 1 day, I had the dress form fully stuffed. Go figure. Oh, and there's a sponge in the neck part of the dress form. Just, so you know. A cardboard support was placed in the base, the center support was glued in, and the dress form was finished. And despite all the minor problems I've mentioned, it does work. when standing next to the Sphinx, it does resemble me. And having a dress form made with my measurements in mind is a welcomed piece of equipment to have. If you enjoyed seeing this process, then please like this video, subscribe to my YouTube channel, follow me on social media, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!